Hello and welcome to Matchpoint, the new program here on CCTV Africa that brings you sports news, action, highlights, and features from an African perspective. My name is Maher Mitra. Thanks for joining us wherever you're tuning in. Coming up in tonight's show, teams upbeat as the group stage of the Africa Cup of Nations qualifiers begins. The Zimbabwe Dream country cricket's status boosted after beating Australia. And Somali Taekwondo eyes Rio Olympics in 2016. We begin with an update from the Africa Cup of Nations, where South Africa and Sudan kicked off the next round of Cup of Nations qualifiers tonight. The two teams are in action in Omdurman, Sudan tonight in the first match of this round of group stage matches. That match currently stands at Sudan 0, South Africa 2. Moving on, Senegal will play their first match of the 2015 Africa Cup of Nations qualifiers against the Pharaohs of Egypt later today at the Leopold Sedar Senghor Stadium in Dakar. A win against one of the most established sides in Africa may be a big ask for the West Africans, but the match represents the first time in more than 1 year that they have hosted an international fixture at the venue since it was banned due to fan violence. The venue incurred the ban in 2012 after home supporters lit flares and threw projectiles onto the pitch in a match against Côte d'Ivoire, which led to an abandoned result. Senegal is in Group G alongside Tunisia, Botswana and Egypt. Fans in Dakar have been marshalling their support for the Teranga Lions as they face Egypt. Neither side made it to the previous edition of the AFCON tournament in South Africa.
We will win 3-0, inshallah. There will be fair play and we will produce an incredible atmosphere in the stands.
Nous abordons ce match avec beaucoup de sérénité. Nous venons d'une suspension.
We will play this game with great serenity. The ban on our stadium following the incidents caused by our supporters during the match against Côte d'Ivoire has been lifted. We need to draw lessons from security failure, from fair play, from the environmental management of the game. To meet these challenges, Senegal authorities and the FA have taken all the necessary measures to ensure that what we witnessed on October the 13th, 2012 will not happen again, because Senegal is best known for its legendary hospitality. We must win this match. We did not participate in AFCON 2013, we failed in the AFCON 2012, and we also failed in the 2014 FIFA World Cup qualification.
We will beat them. I do not want any draw or loss. This is a home game. You see, with my bike, I'm promoting non-violence. Let us unite our hearts, encourage fair play and avoid trouble in our stadium.
Well, once again, the group stage of AFCON qualification is underway this weekend. One of the more intriguing groups is Group A, which brings together Nigeria, South Africa, Sudan and Congo. For South Africa, today marked the first match of their campaign under new coach Ephraim Shakes Mashaba, and he earlier sat down with CCTV's Dan Williams, saying it is now time for Bafana to change and give youth a chance.
A new coach, a new era for Bafana Bafana. Shakes Mashaba kicks off his reign as South Africa coach with two vital AFCON qualifiers. His reappointment to the top job ahead of the likes of Carlos Queiroz and Stephen Keshi prompted some media to claim the under-20 coach was the low-cost option. And in an exclusive interview with CCTV News, Mashaba admits those comments hurt.
For people to go and write in a newspaper, I'm the cheapest coach. SAPA opted for me because I'm a cheapest coach. I don't know how did they get to that one. And I'm asking a question, all the expensive coaches, what have they done for us? I want to know. I'm not challenging anyone, but what have they done for us? I don't want them to come to me and apologize, but they've got to find a way out of doing it.
Shakes has wasted little time in wielding the axe. Out have gone a number of long-serving stalwarts, the coach opting to give youth a chance. It is a decision that could spectacularly backfire. But having taken the under-20s to the African Championships, Mashaba is confident in his plan.
It's time for changes. I hear a lot of people talking about we're cleaning. No, we're not cleaning. It's like a building. We're refurbishing the team, bringing new faces, and avoid this thing of our players getting their first cap at the age of 28, 29. It's not a very good thing. So we are saying this is the time. There's no any other time. If we fail now, we won't be able to do it again.
Mashaba's strategy will be put under the microscope in the coming days as Bafana's trip to Sudan is quickly followed by a home encounter with Nigeria. And Shakes is looking to take a leaf out of Stephen Keshi's book by promoting local talent and restoring national pride.
Stephen Keshi, like you're rightfully saying, he came back to redeem the status of the football in the country, in which he succeeded. And if you look at us, our football followers are sad all the time when you talk football. They're not happy about it because there isn't much that brings joy to them. That is why I say it's going to be important, it's going to be critical for us to win these coming 2 games. It will bring smiles back into people's faces, especially the Nigeria game. Win that one, things are going to change for the better for us.
Shakes may well be looking towards the youth, but he has left the door open for the old guard in the future. He would also like Everton's Stephen Pienaar to consider a return to the international fold. So can Shakes Mashaba turn Bafana Bafana's fortunes around and restore some national pride? A notoriously impatient South Africa public certainly hope so. Dan Williams, CCTV, Johannesburg.
All right, let's see now how the teams match up for the matches this weekend. Remember, all but 3 of the qualifiers will be played tomorrow, with the remainder getting started earlier today, including the match from Sudan, where South Africa were playing Sudan. The second match in Group A sees Nigeria host the Democratic Republic in Calabar. Remember, there is a chance that this could be the last match for the Super Eagles of Nigeria if their football federation does not comply with the FIFA directive to get their house in order. If FIFA do ban Nigeria, then they will not be able to play South Africa in their second match next week. In Group B, Ethiopia and Algeria face off in Addis Ababa. Both sides have won the tournament before, with the hosts winning in 1962 and the visitors winning in 1980. The other match of the group sees Mali welcome Malawi in Bamako. Group C now, Burkina Faso and Lesotho play their first group stage match in Ouagadougou, while Gabon and Angola meet in Libreville. Neither team in this group has ever won the Africa Cup of Nations before. Burkina Faso came closest when they finished as runners-up, of course, last year. Group D now, DR Congo host Cameroon in Lubumbashi. There are 2 African giants in this group, of course, Cote d'Ivoire and Cameroon, and yet neither has ever won the tournament before. That honor has gone to DR Congo, who won it twice in 1968 and 1974. They kick off their qualifying campaign against Cameroon at home, while Cote d'Ivoire face off with Sierra Leone. You'll remember that match had plenty of controversy over the Ebola fears in Abidjan, but that match was eventually given the green light by the Ivorian government and will be played in Abidjan tomorrow. Ghana and Uganda are face off in Group E on Saturday. The other match of that group is, of course, being played tonight in Casablanca between Guinea and Togo. Group F is where you'll find the 2012 Africa Cup of Nations winners, Zambia. They host Mozambique in Douala tomorrow, while Niger and Cape Verde is the other match of that group. And finally, Group G, Tunisia and Botswana face off in Monastir, Tunisia. Senegal and Egypt are the other 2 sides in that group, and they play their fixture today in just over 1 hour's time in Dakar. Well, now for more on the Africa Cup of Nations qualifiers, let's cross over to Egypt, where Mohamed Al-Kaoud, a sports journalist, joins us live from Cairo. Mohamed, the group stage qualifiers have, of course, already begun. What do you think of the team's preparedness? What's your assessment on their preparedness for the matches tonight and tomorrow?
Hello, good evening. Today, as you know, the beginning of the qualifiers from the finals of African Cup of Nations in Morocco next year. Today, as you know, there are 3 matches, but the most important match is after 1 hour from now in Dakar between Egypt and Senegal. This is the most important match of the day. I think Egypt want to achieve a good beginning for the qualifiers against Senegal. Senegal want to win, and it depends on a group of players, high professional in many clubs in Europe. Egypt also wants to win the match to be qualified to Morocco next year. I want to say that the match today between Egypt and Senegal, all Africa will watch the match today because one of two teams or both of them can be qualified to the finals in Morocco. Shawki Gharib, the head coach of the Egyptian team, declared before traveling to Dakar that he is want to win the match. At least he will not lose or achieve the draw. On the other hand, Senegal want to win the 3 points from the match to be qualified to the finals in Morocco. We know Egypt will receive Tunisia in next week in Egypt. So Egypt want to achieve a positive result from the match from today against Senegal and Dakar.
All right, Mohamed, thank you very much for that insight on the match coming up between Egypt. A bit later on, Mohamed Al-Kaoud, a sports journalist, joining us live from Cairo. Let's take a quick break now, but coming right up, the Zimbabwe Dream, country's cricket status boosted after beating Australia.
Terrific dunk right there.
Welcome back. You're watching Matchpoint. Cricket news now. Zimbabwe's cricket team performed mission impossible earlier this week, defeating #1 ranked ODI team Australia. It was, of course, only the second time that Zimbabwe has ever beaten Australia, the first being in 1983. The Southern African nation's status in the top echelon of the game had been under intense scrutiny, but this win could have brought the nation some time, as well as getting the players and supporters believing once again.
For years, Zimbabwe has been confined to playing and struggling to get results against fellow minnows. But the return of powerhouses Australia and South Africa was hoped to be a catalyst to rejuvenate the local game. And boy, did it prove to be.
Has that gone all the way? It has! Would you believe it?
For the game to turn around and actually Zimbabwe beating Australia was a dream, and it was fantastic, and it was very good for the country, it was very good for the fans. They create hope, you create dreams, you create the future cricketers, because a lot of people now aspire to play cricket because of that win.
The first black national team coach has become an overnight celebrity, but he's well aware of the hard work and financial investment needed to build on last Sunday's heroics. Mounting financial problems have threatened the very survival of the sport. But giant killing acts can make a huge difference.
You know, like with anything, money is crucial to running the game. So, you know, sponsors want to get behind a winning brand, a team that is winning, that gives them good exposure. So, by beating Australia, and you know, I've been fortunate enough to do the commentary in this series. I've seen the grounds full, even during midweek. There's been people coming out. So, you know, the sponsors look around and go, you know, we want to get involved with this.
Just 4 days after beating Australia, Zimbabwe was back on the pitch, hoping to keep the dream alive.
The fairy tale ending just wasn't to be. Zimbabwe going down to South Africa and unfortunately not booking a place in the finals this weekend. However, fans I caught up with are still smiling. They say cricket is on the right path.
As long as South Africa is still playing in the final for this triangle series, we are okay to go. We will still continue to support South Africa. Zim will support South Africa. Then it's good for us. The fact that it was a triangular series, and at the end of the day, we managed to beat Australia, number one in the world, ranked. It's okay for us.
As you realize, we have been trying to rebuild our team, and we have been in the doldrums for a long time. But I think now we are on the research. We are emerging as a cricket powerhouse.
I asked Zimbabwe's most capped skipper what needs to be done to ensure the game remains on the up.
We need to play more regularly at the highest level. That's the fundamental way forward. So, you know, you cannot have a series like this and then nothing for 6 months and another series, because there's no continuity and there's no ways that you can, you know, continue to play at the highest level if you're not involved in that sort of environment all the time.
Next, Zimbabwe is off to Bangladesh later this month for a Test and ODI series. The domestic season kicks in when the team returns, while crucial international fixtures are being organized as preparations for the World Cup in February next year. Farai Mwakutuya, CCTV, Harare, Zimbabwe.
All right, moving away from cricket now. This time next week, we should have a verdict in the Oscar Pistorius murder trial in South Africa. 6 months after the trial began, Judge Thokozile Masipa is expected to decide the athlete's fate. The decision brings to an end the trial for the murder of his girlfriend, Riva Steenkamp, on Valentine's Day last year. The Olympian sprinter is expected to hear the verdict on September the 11th, which is Thursday next week. Pistorius denies the charge of intentionally murdering his girlfriend and says that he mistook her for an intruder in their home. The trial has captured the attention of the country and the rest of the world. Pistorius has won medals at continental, world and Paralympic level, earning him the nickname the Blade Runner along the way. Well, now for more on that story, we're joined live by our reporter Dan Williams, who has been following the story in South Africa. Dan, let's talk what happens if Judge Masipa finds Pistorius guilty? What happens then?
Yes, well, of course, the key question for Judge Masipa is, did Oscar Pistorius believe there was an intruder in his house? If yes, in fact, if no, she does not believe that story, then Oscar Pistorius will be found guilty of murder, and it will then be up to her to decide whether that's premeditated murder, or which carries with it a minimum sentence of 25 years, or murder, which carries with it a sentence of up to 15 years. But if no, she feels it, yes, she does believe that Oscar Pistorius did believe there was an intruder in the house, then she has a further question. Did he act as a reasonable person? And if so, then Oscar Pistorius will be found. If not, then Oscar Pistorius will likely be found guilty of culpable homicide. If yes, then he will be allowed to walk free. Although he does face other charges, of course, those charges could, of course, be whittled down to a fine. So those are all the decisions that Judge Masipa has to make next week.
All right, and what are the options for her? And if he is found guilty or otherwise, would he return to sports? What happens next?
Yeah, of course, what will then happen is that if guilty of premeditated murder, then Oscar Pistorius is then likely to be taken into custody. He'll lose his bail status. But if found guilty of one of those lesser ones, if you like, then he will likely be allowed to stay out on bail and ahead of sentencing, which will come about a week or so later. But the key thing here is to remember that already Barry Roos, Senior Counsel for Oscar Pistorius, has already laid the groundworks for an appeal. He says that the unprecedented live coverage has made it difficult for his case, that certain witnesses did not want to take the stand, which has had an impact on their case for the defence. And so therefore that would then move towards a mistrial or grounds for appeal, and then in which case that would then likely have take place about 18 months or so. All of that is likely to be granted, of course, and all that time Oscar Pistorius will be allowed to stay out on bail. So that's where we are. As far as that is concerned, it could be that this has got some time still to run.
All right, Dan, thanks very much for that. 6 days to go, I guess, until the verdict. Dan Williams joining us live from Johannesburg in South Africa. Well, let's go to another quick break, but coming right up. Aiming higher, Somali Taekwondo team eyes Rio Olympics in 2016. Welcome back. Now, Mogadishu is stabilizing and sport is taking its place in helping with the rebuilding process. From women's basketball to league football, sports has continued to make significant progress in the city. And now a rather less known sport is fast gaining popularity as well, the martial art of Taekwondo. A young Taekwondo team has already started training in the capital Mogadishu. Mohamed Hirmoge caught up with the team.
Taekwondo moves and karate kicks are known here in recent years. A sport of unarmed combat, trainees intend to engage the body and mind, and they use holds and leverage to unbalance their opponent. Although only beginners, their prospects are promising. This team is learning fast. In a short time, they could be ready to compete in African and Arab competitions. The recovery of sports in Somalia continues to gather pace. Taekwondo is now the new sport in town and it's fast gaining popularity. This is a young team with a small court, but they know resilience is one of the key factors. This is the first team, and their top ambition is to try and qualify for the Rio 2016 Olympics.
We had a good team, but some of them went abroad. We've been doing well so far. Our aim is to compete at the Rio Olympics. If we recall a few of our diaspora team members, we believe we can be ready.
The team says it's happy with the training thus far and is confident that in 2 years it could be fit for the competition.
In the 3 months that we've been training, we're already happy with our progress. We hope that we will do well in future competitions. Our aim is to prepare well. That is why we started training early. We know that we'll be facing professionals who've practiced Taekwondo for more than 10 years.
They take turns. The idea is to parry blows and avoid contact, they say. This team's biggest asset, however, is its young trainees.
Everyone has ambition. Mine is to represent my country in international competitions and win medals. I know it's not going to be easy, but I am prepared to struggle. It's my dream and I shall achieve it.
A small team with big ambitions. These trainees formalized a sequence of movements which represent various offensive and defensive postures. based on idealized combat applications, moves they hope could count in the Rio 2016. Mohamed Rumogi, CCTV, Mogadishu.
All right, let's check in on some rugby now. The headline surrounding tomorrow's championship match between Australia and South Africa will definitely center around the fact that it will mark Bryan Habana's 100th test for the Springboks. Habana is set to become only the 4th South African to play 100 test matches for his country. The other 3 were incidentally all his teammates when the Boks won the World Cup in 2007, John Smith, Percy Montgomery and Victor Matfield. Matfield is incidentally back from retirement and will be earning his 114th test, 25 of which came against Australia. Habana holds the test try-scoring record for South Africa with 56, 4th best on the all-time list.
You know, I think we're trying to evolve as a team, but in saying that, you know, we're always going to rely on what made us a good team, and you know, and what Springbok rugby is all about. So that'll always be there for us, and that for us is a non-negotiable. If we can add to that and try evolving around that, you know, then I think we can only become a better team, and I think we have done that in a way, but you know, we need to stay strong in the areas that we've generally been strong in for a century or so. In that, I think every test is different. I think that the fact that Bryan is playing his 100th as well does give it a different feel, and you know, and I think for us it'll just be great to make it a special day for him. We don't want to make it all about Bryan, but certainly it is a fantastic occasion for him and his family, and you know, and we'd like to make it a special day for him.
All right, finally, further afield, England striker Daniel Sturridge will undergo a scan and could miss Monday's opening Euro 2016 qualifier in Switzerland. Sturridge picked up an injury in training on Friday. The nature of the injury is still not known. The Liverpool player has established himself as the spearhead in England's attack, scoring 5 times in his 16 appearances for his country. England are coming off a bad World Cup campaign and a 1-0 win at home to Norway in a dire friendly played out in a half-empty Wembley Stadium, and was greeted with a chorus of disapproval and for the first time. Speaking at a press conference, central defender Gary Cahill emphasized Sturridge's importance to the team.
No, he's a key player for club and country, isn't he? I think you know, he's been fantastic of late, and a real top player. So yeah, of course, you know, that's why I say we keep our fingers crossed for him, because he's a big player.
Well, that's it for this edition of Matchpoint. Remember, you can send your feedback to us at matchpoint@cctv.com. You can also visit our Facebook page, CCTV Africa, or stay in touch on Twitter using the handle @CCTV News Africa. Thanks for watching. I'm Mahe Mutwa.